This is our news, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight.
We cannot guarantee there will be no load shedding.
BPL officials holding a press conference to address consistent power outages. Ahead tonight, the answers to the burning question of when will all the load shedding end. Plus, the Prime Minister announces plans for the redevelopment of Exumer's airport to begin soon. And the F&M chairman confirms there is no official request for Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine to resign.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Topping news this evening, as Bahamians continue to endure long hours of load shedding here in the capital, hoping for some signs of relief, officials of Bahamas Power and Life could not give a definitive answer today on when the load shedding will end. Despite this, the company remains resolute that it is on the right track to addressing the vexing issue of power outages in New Providence once and for all. For months, communities here in New Providence have been rocked with hours-long periods of blackouts. The issue lies with BPL's inability to meet the consumer demand during the hot summer period. BPL currently faces a 40-megawatt shortfall of its peak demand of 250 megawatts.
This 210 megawatts or 40 megawatt shortfall of what is required is what has led to the load shedding that we are currently experiencing. We are working feverishly on returning 2 generators at our Blue Hill power station that will make up this shortfall. However, we cannot guarantee that other units will not fail and return us to load shedding, as we have no excess capacity.
CEO Whitney Hasty says 3 generators, which represent 60 megawatts at the Blue Hills power plant, are currently down. He anticipates 2 of the generators to be back online within 2 weeks in order for BPL to meet its peak demand of 250 megawatts. But don't get your hopes up.
As I said before, let me reiterate, we cannot guarantee load shedding will not take place because we're on the edge, we're on the cliff. Because even though we get those 2 units back, there's no guarantee that we will not lose another asset.
A decaying generation fleet of equipment, along with inconsistent preventative maintenance and the high cost of fuel, are among the factors that has placed BPL in its current state. Chairman Donovan Moxey also gave a different perspective.
As more housing developments were being constructed, more resorts and other foreign direct investments were courted and constructed, as the economy and the population has continued to grow, there should have been concurrent investments in increasing generation capacity to sufficient levels that would ensure the company's ability to meet growing demand and sufficient headroom to allow for redundancy. That non-alignment is equally at play in our challenges and perhaps more significant than the current shortfall in generation.
BPL officials have been adamant that the new $95 million, 132-megawatt Wasilla plant at Clifton Pier will bring relief. The plant is expected to be completed by the end of the year.
As a company, we can truly assist in fixing this problem. And we can do that because we have done it in many other Caribbean islands. We recently did it in the US Virgin Islands. Before that, we did it in the British Virgin Islands. We've done it all over the Caribbean and all over the globe. So the solutions we're bringing to the Bahamas is nothing new. We build over 100 power plants a year, EPC. So this is nothing new to us. We as a company, we are fully confident that we will be a part of this solution.
And as the fall season approaches, officials anticipate that the energy demand will fall off as well as the need for load shedding. Meantime, BPL's CEO Whitney Hasty also responded to calls for compensation for its customers due to inconvenience. While he recognizes the factor, Hasty explains that the company simply cannot afford to, as BPL is in the hole every month.
BPL as a power utility is like every power utility in the world. It's not like the other utilities that provide service. We bill only what we sell. If the meter is not turning, obviously we do not bill. And so there is pay per use, right? And so we only charge for what is consumed by consumers.
Hasty says BPL's monthly expenditures exceeds $40 million every month.
$30 million on average is fuel. That goes to Shell North America. That's based on the price of fuel. That's nobody in the Bahamas that's getting that money. That goes to Shell North America. Over $8 million is spent on paying and running the business every day. Inclusive of that would be the vendors that we are contracted to provide service with. Another $2 million is provided for interest on loans. I've given you three components: fuel, vendor payments, and interest.
Hasty maintains there is no room for BPL to not insist on its customers to pay their bills. In other news this evening, while bringing the keynote address at the recommissioning of the Rollville Police Station, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced plans to start work on the Exuma International Airport that he admitted is in a poor state. Our Giorgio Bain reports.
The government was expected to break ground on a revamped airport in Exuma in January, having already secured 2 loans from the Inter-American Development Bank. The 2 loans were valued at $70 million. $35 million of the IDB loan was expected to be used for infrastructural upgrades at 4 airports. However, that never happened. But according to Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, repairs at Exuma's International Airport will begin shortly.
Because Exuma is set for great growth in the future and economic expansion, my administration will invest in infrastructure needed in the growth of Exuma. And toward this end, the construction of a new terminal and airstrip airside works at Exuma International Airport is planned to commence very shortly.
Minnis said the island deserves an airport that reflects its international reputation.
The new airport will be a beautiful, efficient, and welcoming gateway to the world-renowned Exuma. It will replace the old airport, which is terribly outdated and lacks the capacity required as one of the gateways for the beautiful emerald and turquoise chain of the Exumas. Exuma deserves a gateway airport that matches its spectacular natural beauty and international reputation.
In 2018, the Exumas received several awards in the tourism sector. These awards the Prime Minister likened to winning an Oscar.
Last year, at the 2018 Ocean Conference in Bali, Indonesia, the Exuma Keys Land and Sea Park won the prestigious Global Ocean Refuge Award for most effective conservation of marine life. And such award is akin to winning an Oscar award or a gold Olympic medal.
The Prime Minister admitted that the airport is in a terrible state, but he hopes that work will begin sooner than later.
With this international recognition, Exuma needs the quality of infrastructure that will enhance the quality of life for residents and the visitor experience for Bahamians and international tourists.
Reporting for our News Weekend edition, I'm Giorgio Bain.
A top Pan American Health Organization official is insisting an expanded national health insurance program must be implemented to deal with the costly care associated with non-communicable diseases. With more, here's Jasmine Brown.
Dr. Esther de Gorville, who is the PAHO country representative for the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, says an expanded NHI program is vital. The PAHO official says for far too long, Bahamians have relied on the cookout culture to help raise funds for healthcare costs when it could be covered by NHI.
We see people in this country having family barbecues and having other fundraising initiatives to deal with people who need care for serious conditions such as heart conditions and cancers and so on. This reflects the fact that they cannot access the health care that they need at the level that they need it all of the time.
The Christie administration introduced the enrollment and primary care phase of NHI on May 1, 2017. It did so with no public insurer in place and no means of funding the program. Dr. DeGorville says while there has been a lot of talk about how the program would be funded, she doesn't think an income tax is such a bad idea, considering that's how other universal health care schemes are funded.
Persons talk about the high cost of health care, and I have monitored the debate over the national health insurance for the past 3 years and wondered really if people are doing a proper analysis of the situation. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. We have had a national health insurance scheme since the 80s or before. And it is not uncommon. In fact, it's a prerequisite that you pay for your national health insurance out of your salary every month. It provides a certain level of comfort knowing that you can present for health care when you need it without having to take money out of your pocket at that time.
Dr. DeGorville did note the Bahamas does a good job in offering primary health care services.
Yes, the Bahamas does a good job in offering primary health care services, immunization services, things related to antenatal care and pregnancy. Yes, you can get services when you need it, but the level of need exceeds the capacity of the health services, and this is why national health insurance is a good concept to consider. We may debate what is the best form of sustaining the financial requirements for national health insurance, but the need for universal access cannot be disputed.
The revised proposed framework for universal health care under NHI is expected to cost $130 million annually, up from the $100 million that was estimated in the initial proposal. The NHIA's policy paper released last October proposed a standard health care benefit package that would be guaranteed under NHI and private insurers, and an employer mandate that would see employers and employees share the funding of the plan. Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands said Cabinet had decided not to go ahead with implementing that funding mechanism this fiscal year. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Free National Movement Chairman Carl Culmer said he is not aware of the Pine Ridge Constituency Association's wish to have their MP resign as a member of the Free National Movement. He said even if they felt that way, there is a process. Our Kyle Joaquin has the story.
I'm unaware at this time of any movements to remove the MP at this time. I've read it in the papers just like you have, and I'm unaware at this time of any move to move it.
The FNM chairman says nothing has come across his desk as yet requesting that Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine resign from the Free National Movement. Earlier this week, FNM Pine Ridge Association chairperson Vernette Munnings called for McAlpine to resign from the party, noting that it would be in the best interest of his constituents. But in speaking with our News, Culmer said Munnings and anyone seeking to have McAlpine step down knows what they would have to do.
Well, there's a process that is laid out in our Constitution. They will go around, canvass the area along with their constituency officers who would put a petition together. They would then send it into the executive committee. The executive committee will meet on the petition, and then once a decision is met, it would then be turned over to the council, and the council would then take a vote up or down on the decision.
McAlpine has since said he is disappointed in the news, saying it shows how petty leadership in the FNM has become. In fact, he said all the calls for his resignation have done is empower him. McAlpine has spoken out against numerous moves by the Minnis administration, most notably its decision to increase the rate of value-added tax to 12%. But he says he's just being the voice of the people. Since then, it appears McAlpine has fallen out of the good books of several high rankers of the FNM. Culmer said if the FNM's Pine Ridge Association wants McAlpine gone, they've got to make the move. No one else.
The association can move the petition, along with, they have 22 members on the association, and along with other persons who would like to sign. There must be a cost. They must present a cost why they would want to have him removed. At this time, again, I'm saying that I'm unaware of any move to have him moved.
Culmer insisted despite McAlpine's scathing rebukes of the party from time to time, he's still a card-carrying member and FNM MP.
Well, we haven't had a move as long as he's a member of the party. He's welcome to come to the council. We meet the last Thursday of each month. He haven't been here for quite some time, but no one has said that he's unwelcome or we haven't done anything to do the contrary.
Now, as for Michael Pine's future within the FNM,
the thing is, the party is a big tent, and we look at all our members and we try to assist wherever we can and offer advice and whatever we can do to assist them to grow as an MP or as a member of the party. We make sure that happens. But no, at this time, I'm not concerned. The party will not do anything that is untoward to any member once they conduct themselves along the party lines.
For Our News Weekend, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
All right, thanks a lot, Kyle. Still ahead tonight, the Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association calls for Airbnb properties to be taxed. That story and more when Our News, the Weekend Edition, returns.